Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Cupid's Coach podcast. I'm your host, Julie Ferman, inviting you to transform me to we through the process of doing dating better. I love to do this to help you do dating better through interviewing fascinating people. And today I have a fascinating person who's based in New Mexico. Those of you who listen know I have three hubs: Los Angeles, New Mexico, and also Denver, Colorado area. So we're going to talk today to Linda Sanderville, and she's in Albuquerque. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about her. People have told her that one of her greatest gifts is perspective. She has an uncanny way of connecting the global to the personal and helping us better understand the ways in which we think and operate. She's the daughter of West African immigrants. They taught her to work hard, but they didn't know how to teach boundaries, how to be gentle with ourselves, how to maintain a healthy marriage. They couldn't, so they didn't have that to give. So guess what? Linda learned all that all on her own, and I'm really happy to share her with you. Welcome to the program, Linda.
Thank you so much, Julie. It's a pleasure to be here.
We found each other through LinkedIn or something, didn't we?
Yeah, AI, right? It's like the new way to search.
AI is my friend. It is amazing. I really appreciate it because, if you run a Google search, who you're going to see instantly is all the people who've paid for your eyeballs. But
Absolutely.
at least thus far,
For now.
ChatGPT finds us because we are relevant to the search rather than we just paid a bunch to get people to find us. So I really love that. And some of my favorite new clients have come directly through ChatGPT. So you do both counseling and yoga, they go together. Tell us more about the nature of the work you do and who generally comes to you for help.
Yeah, so I combine the yoga with my practice. So I'm very much a somatic, experiential type of psychotherapist. And I use those tools together because a lot of folks come to me with sort of an awareness that something is off physically. When they're experiencing emotional dysregulation, they know that something's happening in the body, but they're not really well connected to it. And so I really work to help them understand what those signals are trying to tell them, to get more of an expertise on their emotional state. So they know how to manage it, they know how to respond in ways that are actually healthy for them and help them get to the goals that they have for themselves. So that's my job, is to get them unblocked and using their own personal resources to help them move forward, as opposed to feeling like they're getting in their own way.
Yeah, it's beautiful and so important that we work with the mind and the body and the spirit, all these things together. I was in an acupuncture session yesterday with my acupuncture doctor, and she was
Um,
working on breaking up little bits of I don't know what. And she was asking me if I had been going through um, grief. And I was thinking, isn't that interesting that she could tell based
yeah,
on what she feels underneath my skin if I've been
right,
grieving over something? I mean,
right.
goodness, right?
Yeah, it's wild. I mean, the body and the mind and the soul, they're all so connected. And we
Yeah.
just kind of lose track of that in the busyness of the day to day. We get really stuck on like what our eyeballs can see right in front of us. And
Mhm.
so it's important to rebuild that connection if it's been lost.
Yeah. Or if it's never been there to
Or
begin
never
with.
been there.
Goodness. Now, I noticed that one of your favorite things to do is to play Legos and watch what your two boys create with their Legos. So I'm dying to know, how did you find their father? How did you get married? How did you meet him?
Yeah, yeah. My husband is definitely the Lego master in this household, so they just follow his lead. He has an incredible, what is it, Lord of the Rings set. It's the elf land. I'm not really that great with all the terms, but it's really beautiful, and the boys love when they get like special time to play with Daddy's son. So I found my husband online, like so many of us these days.
Which
Um,
site do you remember?
I don't remember the name of it, but it was like a Christian-based dating site.
Beautiful.
Um, yeah, and so, I was on there. I'd been on and off for a while. I did a lot of dating and meeting people in person as well. So it wasn't my only way of meeting folks, but I was just at the stage where I knew I was ready. I had gone through a rough breakup a few years before that, and I just felt more clear about what I knew I wanted and what I knew I wasn't willing to put up with. So I wanted to make sure I had my reach as wide as possible, right? So people I was meeting in person,
Beautiful.
events,
The
etc.
as you and I like the fact that you had been doing online dating for a while. I'm sure there are people listening who are like, I hate online dating. It doesn't work. It never
Oh, for
works.
sure.
Doesn't it kind of feel that way until it does work?
Absolutely. But isn't that true with anything? It doesn't work and then it does. I mean, that's that's kind of the learning curve with most things these days. I really saw it as not, it wasn't like a this has to save me or it has to happen this way, right? Again, it was just about kind of casting my net wide and seeing what happened and seeing what was possible, right?
Beautiful. So what happened? Like, did you see him and reach out? Did he see you and reached out? How did it happen?
Yeah. Well, this is so funny, Julie. It's part of what I was drawn to you about because you made the first move with your husband and I reached out to him. And it was always my policy that with the online dating, whenever I kind of like went back on it, that I would reach out to two or three people and just leave it at that. I would just look for the people who seemed the most aligned with me, the most interesting, and just send them a short message, ask them a couple of questions, make a connection, that's it. And then just leave it, right?
Really appreciate that. And for those who are listening, we have more female listeners than male. That's in general, dating
Yeah.
services usually have more women than men, except for in the younger demographic, where the men are really struggling because those cute girls in their 20s get a lot of attention and they blow everybody off. So but I want women to know that yes, it can happen over time if you keep your energy right. But we are perceptive and intuitive, very often more so than men are. They'll be drawn to us initially visually, not because they're superficial and shallow. It's just built right into their hardwiring. But we're perceptive. So, ladies, don't sit and wait. And if you've listened to dating coaches who say, oh, never initiate, just wait for him. If he's not pursuing you, it's never going to happen. I think that's hogwash because I've been paying attention. And about two-thirds of the introductions that I've seen happen in recent years, like the last 4 or 5 years, it's us girls that made this happen. We reached out to him, we saw him at the grocery store, and we said, well, it's been nice shopping with you here today. That's how one of my recent connections met her boyfriend. She just said, it's been nice shopping with you. And then she even volunteered as they were trying to check out. And she was she wasn't even ready to check out, but she saw that he was checking out. So she thought, I'm just
Uh-huh.
going to pretend I'm ready and then I'll come back and
Uh-huh.
do the rest later. I mean, seriously. And she said, nice shopping with you. He said yes. And then she was standing at the self-checkout thing
Uh-huh.
that she doesn't normally go to because she's intimidated about what to do with the produce. And she volunteered that. She says, I don't ever know what to do with the bananas and the peaches. He jumped right in. Let me show you what to do with those peaches.
Oh,
Right?
nice.
I
Okay.
mean,
Mm,
they like to be the provider protector, come over with a solution, right? But we have to
right.
make ourselves accessible and available. And with a playful little quip like that, we can
Hmm.
end up. And before she left, you know what she said? She said, if I gave you my phone number, would you do something with it?
Oh, I
And
like
had
that
he joked
energy.
and said something like, "Yeah, I'm going to put it on a bathroom wall," and they cracked up. But that was the connection. And then she got out her phone and she gave him her phone number. Ladies, do not be afraid to do this stuff
No.
because really good men are not preying upon us. They don't want us to
Right.
feel preyed upon. So still waters run deep. A good guy. Describe your husband, the qualities that you appreciate in him.
Gosh, it's so funny what you just said about good men are not trying to prey on us. That was one of the things with him that was so different because usually folks, men would like show me that they were attracted to me very quickly. I could tell immediately, right, when they would interact with me. Um, and he didn't do that. So I was like, I guess he doesn't like me. I don't know. What is this? And I told him that a little while later when we were getting to know each other, we quickly moved to phone calls. I should say that we messaged back and forth a couple of times, but he quickly was like, "Hey, can we get on a phone call?" And from there, he was like, "Can we get on some video calls?" We were long distance. totally opposite ends of the country, right? So,
Whoa,
yeah,
you
yeah.
listening, ladies? You found him. And even though he lived across the country, there was still
Mhm.
something about him that intrigued you. So you went ahead and made an offer to connect.
Yeah, and I should say everyone's different. I was the kind of person where even if someone was in a different country, that was my difficult breakup that was just before him. That person was in Europe. So I wasn't really afraid of like distance or the idea of moving or traveling for love. That was okay with me. That's not everybody's place, but everyone needs to know what their boundaries are and what their limits are. And that was fine for me. And it was fine for him. He was already also kind of looking outside of his state at that point
He
anyway.
moved to where you are in Albuquerque.
No, I moved to where he was.
Oh,
And that
he
was
was
a
in
mutual
Albuquerque.
choice. He was in Albuquerque. We made a mutual choice to do that. It could have gone the other way, but we both felt like, oh, no, let's start out life here. It might be for the best. But yeah, so he was just very warm, and he still is. Very intentional, very conscientious. Um, he's much more careful than me. Like we joke about it now, but that was an adjustment. Just that I tend to be more of a risk taker than him. And he's more thoughtful, planned out. But again, that's something that helps me to feel safe, right? I'm not with someone where I'm like, oh, I never know what's going to happen. And it just all feels so unsteady. Like he's a very steady man,
I'm
very
gonna I want to
disciplined.
share
Yeah.
disciplined. I want to
Yeah.
share what you said with somebody this morning who turned down a suitor because she didn't think he was hot enough.
Oh,
And I'm like, come on, lady, you're in your mid 40s. You should know better than to have the first thing
yeah.
be whether he's hot or not. The hotter the guy, the
Mm,
less likely I find he is to have
mhm.
these qualities that you just listed that are so important.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Yeah, and I knew that physical attraction was important to me. And so I wasn't willing to settle at that point. I was like, I could just be single. Like I have a really great single life too. So that's okay. But I want someone who I am physically attracted to. And I thought he was a cutie. But that wasn't, yeah, I needed to have someone again, my parents didn't make it. Like their marriage didn't make it. And I wanted something that was going to last. I wanted
Mhm.
something that I would want to bring kids into, right? Something that felt secure, loving, emotionally safe. As someone who'd
Mhm.
been a therapist already for several years up until that point, when we met, I knew how important these different factors were for long-term satisfaction for me in a relationship. So I wasn't willing to settle on the quality of the man.
Right. Whether you can feel safe with somebody emotionally is so much more huge than the hot factor. And I like to really dig in what's underneath the hot factor. Why do we need somebody to look a certain way? Well,
Yes.
men are more attached to visuals than we are. We can develop attraction over time. It's one of our superpowers as women. Although a lot of women are still reacting to, am I instantly attracted or not? And I think those are the women who really, really suffer because they might be giving too much credit to the guy who's the looker, and they
Right.
might not be giving enough attention to the people who are still waters run deep. They're super solid, they're sincere, they're going to be loyal, they're going to be
Yeah.
caring, you're going to feel safe with them because he cares about you. And I
Right.
wonder how much of it has to do with what we are, what other people are going to say. Oh, she found a
Yeah.
boyfriend, but he's not that good looking. How about she found a
Sure.
boyfriend and he adores her and she's so happy with him, right? It's
Right. Right.
also an LA thing. I think it's less pronounced
Oh,
in New Mexico,
right.
I'll tell you, is
Yeah. Yeah. And
pronounced in.
I'm from the East Coast. So there's more, I think there tends to be more of like a wanting financial stability and, similar goals in life kind of thing, even than maybe here. But yeah, again, the qualities that I saw in some of the happily married couples that I grew up around. That made an impression on me too. There were just certain couples where, and I don't know what you've seen in your work. You're the expert on this, but it just seemed like the marriages where the man was still totally in love with his wife, like years and years down the road, right? those were like the happiest marriages. Um, it wasn't like the woman trying to chase after or kind of like prove her worth or attractiveness to her partner. It was the one where the husband was just like, "Oh, this is the only woman for me, like the only woman I can even see." And so I was like, "That's what I want." You know?
So much about I've never worked with such a high percentage of widowers as today, and ChatGPT has been sending them to me regularly. It's like a whole collection of golden bachelors that I have right now who have been widowed, and the deep love that they had for their wife who
Yeah,
died
yeah,
is astounding.
yes.
And it's way deeper than the surface stuff. Is her
Mhm.
hair long? Is her hair short? Is her skin perfect or not? It has to do with the history that they've built together
Yeah.
and what they have created together. And when we judge people so superficially, we're going to miss so many opportunities. I'm thinking of this cute lady who took my boot camp class, and we really wrestle with these issues in that month-long boot camp class. And she saw a guy in a pool, and she was like, not particularly interested in him. He had a hairy back, she said. He
Oh,
had a hairy back. And that was an instant like turn off or whatever. Well, somehow they
okay.
ended up in a conversation and they just instantly fell into this deep conversation and they're
Yeah.
together to this day. They travel together. They're having a great relationship. And she says she doesn't see that hairy back anymore at all. All she sees is how she feels when she's with him.
Right. Gosh, how she feels when she's with him. That's the thing that folks all the so many of my single clients, I've done so much work with them on how do you feel? How do you show up? What version of you is there when you're around them? Is it the version of you that's glowing, that's kind of witty and playful and right? Vulnerable? Or is it the part that feels like it's got to like shield itself up and is walking on eggshells, is not sure how it's going to be this time? I'm like, oh my God, like, please pay attention to that. Because that doesn't go away. In fact, whatever that is, it tends to intensify after a commitment's been made.
That's right, because early on, as Chris Rock says, we're not
Yeah.
showing who we really are, we're showing our
Or a
representative.
representative.
Isn't
Uh-huh.
he so cute? Now, there's something that you have a lot of expertise areas, which I think is fascinating. One of them is something that you call the mental load
Mhm.
reset. And
Mhm.
I am somebody who takes on too much. I've got so many ambitions and goals. I'll say
Yeah,
yes, yeah, 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 and then I'm like, wow. So
right.
when I read this about you, mental load reset, I said, I think you better ask her about that, Julie. What does Linda Sanderville have to say about the mental load reset? Tell us.
Yeah. Well, this can interfere with your dating life, right? If you are maxed out, if you feel really burnt out by all the commitments that you've made, that you haven't really assessed, like, is this a good fit for me at this point in my life? That is absolutely going to affect your dating. I'll sidetrack for a minute just to say that when I was really wanting to spend more time and attention on my romantic life, I had to go through and kind of make an assessment of like all the things I was committed to, all the different service I was doing outside of work, inside of work, how I was using my free time. I wanted to make sure that I had a feeling of spaciousness that would allow for connecting with other people and having these kinds of conversations. So that was something that was really necessary in order to feel emotionally ready and open,
Mhm.
right? And
Mhm.
expansive for someone else to come into my life.
I'm glad
Um,
you're mentioning that, and
yeah.
pay attention, especially ladies, because the biggest complaint that I'm getting from men right now, without a doubt, it's that they can't get us on their schedule
Mhm.
because we're so busy and we talk about it. I'm so crazy busy. Please don't ever say those words. Um, what that says to him is this part of your life is not important enough to make time for, or he's not worth making
Right.
time for. So it's very simple. The solution is don't tell him what you got going on. Just tell him when you're available. That's the
Right.
only thing he needs to hear. I'm free on Saturday morning. How about you? What about Thursday night? I love Thursdays. Sunday night's my favorite night. Just tell him when you're open. He doesn't need to know all the other things. Later on down the road, I hope that if there's a nice connection, you're going to be carving time out for him. I'm watching an introduction right now that I know today is going to fall apart
Oh no.
because she won't make time for the third date, the fourth date. She's just got too many other things going on in her life. I don't want women to give up all their friends and give up all their family and their
No.
profession. I don't want that. But he needs to know that this part of your life is important, and he needs to know that he's of interest enough to carve out some time, not 17 days from now, right? There's
Uh,
got to be ways to do it. So keep going. How
right.
do we get rid of a mental load? How do we
Yeah.
reset the mental
How
load?
to get rid of it. Yeah. It's an ongoing project for most people. Especially for what is it, multi-passionate women. I mean, we tend to just want to do all the things, right? So
I never heard of
um,
that term before. Maybe you coined it, the
no,
multi-passionate.
I did not. I'm trying to remember who did coin it, but I definitely didn't coin it. I heard it and I loved it. I was like, I am that. I'm a multi-passionate woman. Yeah, it's when you're talented in multiple ways, you have lots of things that interest you. You're curious about a lot of things. You want to get your hands in, get your hands dirty in different areas.
Mhm,
Lots of projects you want to start, problems that you want to solve in your community or the world. I consider
mhm.
that multi-passionate.
Yeah. And for a
Um,
man to be with a
yeah.
woman like you or a woman like me who is multi-passionate
Yes.
requires two things. He has to have the presence and the flexibility and the compassion to allow us to have other interests,
Yeah.
but she has to create the time. So it's deal making, isn't it?
Yes. Yes. So important. So, and my husband is very much that person. Like he's my biggest cheerleader when it comes to anything I do. When I was starting my private practice, I was like, oh, I don't know how this is gonna go. We'll see. And he just never didn't believe in me. You know, like, yeah.
Amazing.
Um, it
I don't
is,
hear that as much as I'd like to hear it. I love that he's
right?
truly supportive that way. And you must have an energetic balance. So if
Mm.
you've got lots and lots of energy and passion and all that, he may be more of what we call still waters run deep. Is that the kind of
Exactly.
person he is?
Oh, totally. That's why when you said that earlier, I was like, oh, that's exactly my husband. And it's not like he doesn't, he himself is an artist. He was actually in a band for many years up until last year. He finally quit. But that was a big part of his life when I met him, and I supported him in that. And that meant, that was a form of sacrifice when we were having our babies, and he's like, oh, I'm going out to band practice, or we have another show, or we're traveling out of state. That was a sacrifice for me too, but I knew that it was important to him. It was a creative outlet for him, so I wanted to support that. Creatives need outlets, so I knew that he needed to have that in his life. And I also knew that he would never put anything before me and our kids. So it's not like I had an insecurity about that or I wasn't sure. I know my husband, so I don't have to what is that? I don't have to compete with something else. I
You
already
don't.
know that love and that commitment is a sure thing. So there's more room to kind of let out the rope and be like, okay, sure. Like we'll figure that out. We'll figure this out. And same with him for me. We'll figure this out.
You have a high degree of emotional intelligence. You've studied this stuff. It occurs to me that in the interpersonal part of your relationship, you
Mhm.
might be the one who invites the conversation. You might be the one who sort of leads this part. Would you say that's true? Or is he usually one that says, you know what, Linda, we should sit down and talk about something? Who
You know
usually
what?
initiates?
Yeah, it's funny. That's so funny you asked that. I would say at this stage in our marriage, it's probably more him than me.
Ooh,
So
good,
sad.
good. Maybe
Uh,
because you gave him the space to speak
right.
up, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So he's the one who I would say actually leads that even more. Um, I tend to be the like, let's get it done in the house. I'm like, we gotta do, and he's like, hey, let's sit down and let's meet about this. Something's going on underneath that I want to talk about. So it's kind of funny in that way. But I do have more of the expertise, I'll say. But
Mhm.
he has a different kind of emotional intelligence on his own. And I think, yeah, the fact that our marriage has been a place where he can safely lead with that and be respected in that is super important.
Yeah, if you were the type of woman who's exceedingly emotional, and every time he would bring something up that was the slightest bit of a critique or something
Yeah.
that he was not quite happy about, and you went off the rails in emotion, what would
Right.
happen? He would shut down and he wouldn't feel
Right.
that he could bring something up. But you bring spaciousness
Right.
and a skill set in
Yeah.
communication so that now he actually can say, hey, you know what? There's something I want to talk about. Amazing. And women are listening, going, oh, that never happens. But it does
Oh, it does.
if we set the stage. Now, there's something
Yeah.
else I looked at that I really liked. Your aim in the work that you do with your clients is to
Mhm.
move us from living this way might kill me.
Yeah.
I can relate to that,
Uh-huh.
to living a life that doesn't require escape.
Yes. Yes.
It's more along the lines of deciding, what do we really need to make space for in our life? Is that a
Mhm.
big part of what you guide us in doing, from living in a way that might kill me into a life
Yes.
that doesn't require escape, prioritizing what really matters and letting go of the other stuff?
Absolutely. Yeah. There's we can get, what is it? Um There's that joke, and I can't think of the actual joke or how the little parable goes, but when you reach your hand into a hole in a box and you're trying to take out the gold or the cheese or whatever is in there, you're trying to like take it back out of the box, but your hand is too full, and the only way to get your hand back out is just to let go. So sometimes we just get to a place where we need to let go. And it doesn't usually mean that we have to let go of everything that matters to us. We need to start with the things that we've kind of just accepted or kind of piled into our backpack. And we didn't even realize it was still in there. We're like, what's this? Oh, did I choose that at some point? That doesn't align with me anymore. Maybe it
Mm.
aligned with you 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 20 years ago, and not now. Um, but if we can commit ourselves first to the things that matter most,
Yeah.
we are going to end up, I always think about this and I tell my clients this all the time. Like, what is your 70-year-old, 80-year-old self going to say looking back? Is she going to regret that you didn't do more? Is she going to regret the risks that you take or the ones you didn't take or the right? Like just thinking about what is she actually going to care about when she's like just lounging, rocking in her chair, whatever she's doing, drinking tea. What's going to matter to her versus what matters to you right now or what's freaking you out right now, right? Having that long-term perspective.
I love that. Very, very useful tip for us. And I think it's good for us to check the way we speak. Like sometimes there are things that we have said over and over and over again, and they just sort of slip out of our mouth. In a recent
Mhm.
podcast, I kind of chastised women for saying this one thing that I don't like to hear, which is, I don't want to be a nurse with a purse. You've heard that, right?
No.
That it's very common among in the Jewish community, but I've heard others
No.
say it as well. It's just something that somebody says, and it's
Yeah.
cute or whatever, and then
Yeah.
other people start saying it, and then we start saying it, and before you know it, it's a thing that we
Yeah.
say.
Yeah.
We just check the things that we say,
Yes.
right? Does it still apply today just because it's something that you got accustomed to saying 12 years ago? Very valid point. I'm glad you brought it up.
Right. Yeah. Our words are powerful and they shape the way that we think and what we believe and then what we perceive. Right. You were talking about how one of my strengths is my perception, perspective. And
Mhm.
part of it is just shifting folks' perception. Like, what are you paying attention to? And then also, what are you missing? Because sometimes what the thing you're searching for that you're longing for is just part of what you're missing in your environment. You just can't see it anymore. Your eyes are glazing over it. But actually, it's right there. And
Can you
so,
give us an example of something like that, Linda?
yeah, yeah. So, I mean, our words shape our perception. So if it's like, oh, I'm just too much for most people to handle, I'm kind of intense. Just kind of casual, character-based statements like that. And I always challenge, especially when people are just like, oh, I'm going to gloss over this and we're going to take it as a matter of fact. And I'm like, oh, what does that mean? What do you mean by it? Who said that? What made you
Right.
believe that? What's the evidence for that? Is there any evidence that contradicts that? You're right, like just kind of diving in, like, oh,
What you said is such a common thing among
mhm.
why women feel like they haven't done better in
Yeah,
dating or in relationships. I'm just too much. I used to say something, just the same flaw that we're talking about here. I would say, well, guys really like me when they meet me, but after the first or second date, they're like, Julie's great, but you don't really want to deal with all of that every day, all the time, do you?
Huh.
Like, it was a funny thing to say,
Yeah.
but I think I said it or thought it enough that I actually began to believe it.
Yes.
And for the right guy, I'm not too much. I may need to know when to express and know when to
Sure.
hold back. He may need to set boundaries. I might need to set boundaries, but am I unlovable
Right.
because I have a lot of energy? I don't know. Golden
Right.
retrievers are lovable and they have a lot of energy. That's the kind of
Yeah.
dog I would be. If you have you ever thought about what kind of dog you would be if you were a dog? What
I
brand of dog?
haven't. I don't even know enough dog breeds to know. I'm trying to think, like what? Um,
Something
oh,
dignified.
yeah,
You'd be like a proud, dignified dog that like knows better than to chase a ball because there's no point, right?
right. I'm like maybe like a Doberman, but not for like being aggressive or anything, but just kind of like, oh, like
Yeah,
walking back.
Doberman. Good one. One of your specialties is helping us to hold our space and set our boundaries. Can you tell us a little bit about how we can get better at setting our boundaries?
Yeah. So first being honest with ourselves. One of the ways that we end up with such a heavy mental load and the feeling of burnout is that we're not honest with what our limitations are. And we can be too proud sometimes to be real that, oh, we can't quite handle all of that, actually. Or we can for a short while, but it is going to cost us something. And maybe we don't like that cost, right? So be honest with what your limitations are. Maybe have a friend. I think doing as much as you can in community is super important. Having friends
Mhm.
that know you, or even family members if you feel comfortable telling you like what do they observe? When do they feel like we kind of hit our limit, or what do they tend to know about? What do they know about our boundaries or observe about our boundaries that maybe we don't get? So you can kind of crowdsource that a little bit too with trusted people, emotionally safe people. But once you're honest, then you can kind of, uh, you know, build the boat from that point. Like you start with the like, okay, this is what my limits are. These are the values that I have, the things that really matter to me. This is where I'm ma willing to make sacrifices. This is where I'm not. And then you can kind of streamline, right? Again, your commitments, the things that take up your time. You can do a time audit over the course of a week or a month and see like, where is my time actually going? Most folks don't know how much they're spending scrolling on social media or just internet random stuff in general, how much they're spending watching shows. There's a lot of time that we're spending in very empty kinds of activities that we could take back and, commit somewhere else and still be able to address the things that matter most to us. But you have to start with being honest and doing that as
Yes, in all of these areas. So if we are stressed that we don't have enough free time, let's
well.
do a time audit.
Yeah.
If we are stressed because we never seem to have enough extra spending money to cover things that we want to spend, well, let's look at where we're spending our money and what could we live without. I saw this cute little meme on Instagram that
Mhm.
said, if we buy a Starbucks coffee every day, it's going to cost us blah, blah, blah. If we invested in Starbucks uh, stock instead, it was like calculating how long it would take for us to be a millionaire just based on that one choice, right?
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Amazing. How are we spending our time? And
Yeah.
then let's look underneath it. Why am I
Yeah.
spending my time scrolling? I put one of my clients on a dating detox in January because as long as I've known him, he's always been on these dating sites. And I said, who would you be if you weren't the guy who was always looking for his partner? There's
Yeah.
a lot more to
Right.
life. And, if we're frustrated about money, let's look at how we're spending it. If we're frustrated about the way we feel,
Mhm.
let's look at what words we're telling ourselves, right? There are all these things. and we can set boundaries around these things. I was thinking
Yeah.
of this one woman who was always puzzled about why she couldn't keep more money, why she couldn't keep her money. And we really looked at it. She was in one of my boot camp classes, and one of our one-on-one calls. We dug into it. What's underneath the spending that she does? And we discovered that a lot of the spending is sort of like to pacify her or to make her feel better. And so she would spend money going out and having a drink. Does that make her feel better? Maybe momentarily, but the next day, no. So
Yeah.
she changed it. She started going to the gym 3 times a week instead of going out
Mhm.
with girls and having drinks. Little things like that. She
Yes.
started condensing her stuff because she realized she had more space than she really needed. And if she could just move into a smaller space, she would have a lot more freedom. So she
Yes.
started getting rid of things. She started getting rid of things she didn't want. And we asked underneath it, why did you buy that?
Right.
Well, I was feeling a little empty, and that really was really pretty. And so I got that. How many times have you worn that dress? Oh, maybe once, right?
Yeah.
Let's look at these things and set boundaries with ourselves, right?
Yes. Oh, I love that she was brave enough to do that. Because how many
Yeah.
people really are making purchases because they feel empty? I mean, a lot. Right?
Right.
How many of them are going to admit it?
Another
Most of
one,
them will not.
another one changed her habit by um, getting rid of her credit cards. There was one she has to use for business, but basically
Uh-uh.
she figured if I don't have the money for it to easily spend on my debit card, I'm not going to buy it. I'm not going
Right.
to buy it. And in the course of a year, she changed her finances. She noticed she was spending like 35% less money than she had the year before by just being conscious and setting boundaries.
5%. Can you imagine?
Yeah.
Yeah, but I love that because it's about creating friction. And I forget who is it, I forget who talks about this, but creating friction with the behaviors that you don't want to be engaging in too much versus smoothing the way or automating, making almost automatic the behaviors that you do want to engage in, right?
Yeah.
And so even in dating, like what would that look like in terms of
This,
like,
more of that, less
yeah,
of this. And something about our diet. That's the other thing is people
um,
get frustrated that, oh, I didn't get the introduction because he didn't say yes to me, and he's really athletic. Probably he thought I was not athletic enough or whatever. So let's do our food audit. And it's really easy to do now because Chat GPT will tell you
um,
everything. I just put in what I'm eating that day, what I've eaten, and it will tell me in terms of nutrition, what do I still need so that I won't have to take a supplement, right? Better to get
right.
it food, but it's easy now.
Or,
There's no excuse for watching the amount that we walk or exercise, what we're eating, and what we're spending. There are ways of tracking our spending too. And all of a sudden,
right.
okay, no more coffee, no more purchasing coffee for the rest of the month, Julie. You're over budget, right?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe
Mm-hmm.
I'll bring some coffee from home.
Oh.
Brainstorm, right? Right? So, something else that you specialize in that I want to have time to talk about, restoring strained nerves.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know
Mm-hmm.
what you're talking about, girl.
Strange nerves.
Strained nerves? What are you talking about?
Right.
So,
Yes.
you're a yogi. So, I'm
Hmm.
guessing that part of the way that you manage strained nerves is through breath and movement.
Totally. So, starting simply, even if you feel like, oh, I can't do yoga, I'm not flexible enough, which I am not the flexible, like I didn't go into yoga being like, I can do all these things and stand on my head. And that wasn't me. I went because I was like, I'm not flexible enough and I feel too stiff. And that's a great reason to start, but also it does help to regulate your nervous system. So being able to join your breath with your body movement is so powerful for regulation. It's so powerful for restoring strained nerves. And sometimes it's not even, so I do a lot of restorative yoga. I love me a good vinyasa flow, but I also I love the impact on the body and the mind of doing restorative yoga.
Like yin
You
yoga.
Yin yoga is different. Yin yoga actually you're still there's actually still a challenge. With
Mhm.
restorative yoga, there's like no challenge really. There's no holding in the body. There's no kind of lengthening or anything of that nature. It can be something as simple as putting your legs up the wall. And I prescribe this to my clients a lot because spending 10 to 20 minutes a day, putting your legs up the wall. It's an anti-inflammatory yoga posture. It's also very settling for the mind and the heart, the heart rate. So just doing that, and I'm like pointing at my wall, no one can see that, but as I gesture, but just doing that and relaxing your body in that manner helps you to kind of find your equilibrium again, right?
All
And
right, so
so
there's our challenge. Every day we should spend
breathe.
10 minutes with our legs up and our
Yes.
back on on the floor and legs up.
Yeah.
Does it matter if
Yeah.
your legs are straight or if they're crossed?
Better if they're straight.
Straight.
Cross, you
Okay.
can kind of mess with the blood circulation. So just straight up, just kind of
All right.
against the wall.
I'll report
Yes.
back. I'll report.
Yeah.
Love
Yes.
it. I made some notes about something that I loved on your website. You focus on the capital S, which is self. And how you described it was the wise inner knowing that's already aware of how to win at life, but has
Yeah.
been drowned out for years by the much louder and very urgent fear-based voices in our head. Bringing new strength to this part of ourselves
Yeah.
seriously changes the game.
Seriously. And I see it happen the more I work with clients and they really strengthen their own connection to their capital S self. Then they start um they're like, I had your voice in my head and then I did this thing and then I changed, right? Like I did it differently. I'm like, oh, that's your voice. That's your wise self. That's not me. But it's like it's a superpower when you can tap into it and you
Yeah.
can slow down and integrate enough with that capital S self, which is that inner wisdom,
Mm.
then you aren't easily tossed about by every circumstance and every perceived failure or perceived rejection. You have a sense of steadiness that you get to carry around within you, and it makes you more resilient. It makes you more self-loving. It makes you more present with other people. I mean, like, there's just so much to gain. Um, but it can't happen with harriedness and urgency and fear-based thoughts. You have to get those things under control so that you can hear that voice loud enough.
It's the reason why it's so important for us to start our day in this expansive place
Yeah.
rather than just waking up and looking at our email box. So
Mhm.
many people
Yes.
do that. They look at their
Yeah.
phone and they look at their email box. I have a love-hate relationship with my email box, and I will admit to one thing. When I go to the bathroom first thing in the morning, I look at my email box selectively, like only for stuff that I want to trash, right? Trash, trash,
Yeah.
trash. So we're just
Yeah.
getting rid of all the trash at the same time. And then,
Mhm.
but I'm not reading any of the other things. We got
Yeah.
to find out what works. And that's right after that, I'm going to do my meditation.
Yeah.
I'm listening to a meditation that I've created for myself that reminds me of what truly matters in my life, and it makes all the difference in the world. And then we have to remember to take breaks during the day, don't we, Linda?
Oh, totally. I mean,
Mhm.
movement breaks, water breaks, connection breaks, right? Creativity, like yes. There's no point to just sort of like locking in for, 8 hours stretches or whatever we're doing. It actually reduces creativity anyway. So whatever kind of work you do is probably going to suffer for you not taking a break.
Yeah, thanks for the reminder. And I have
Hmm.
back issues now that I need to deal
Oh,
with.
that's
And
great.
sitting at this desk for 12 hours straight is
Yeah.
not exactly what the doctor's recommending, right?
Not for anybody, including
Right,
you, but no
exactly.
one.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
There's something else that I liked about your wisdom and what you've studied, and it's related to intergenerational gifts.
Mm, yeah.
Intergenerational gifts and healing are just as important to center as
Yeah.
intergenerational wounds. So we
Mm,
think, oh, well, in my family, I'm this
mm,
way because my father was an alcoholic or whatever it
yeah.
is. But we forget to think about intergenerational gifts. I
Yeah.
have passion and colorful expressiveness because my father was that kind of guy and gave us permission to be expressive. That's an intergenerational gift, right?
Absolutely. Thank you for bringing that up. And I just want to shout out my mom, who is no longer with us, Teresa. There are challenges that she experienced in her life that, I'm kind of still sorting through and trying to figure out in my own life. But there are also a lot of strengths and gifts that I have gained from her, as well as, generations before her, like the reason why I am the way that I am. And I'm so grateful for that.
Are we
I'm
talking
so
about your
lucky.
mom? Are we
Yeah,
talking
my
about your mom?
mom.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
And I feel so lucky to have the gifts that I did get from her. Even if there were other challenges, I'm like, wow, like part of why certain things come naturally to me is because of who she was and how that then just became like the air I breathe. Like it was just natural, it was normal to me, right? I think even it's so funny. My mom was she was actually quite an anxious person, but despite that, she managed to come over here at the age of, I think she was about 22 when she came here from West Africa and start a whole new life. And I'm like, gosh, for someone who was so anxious to just move away from her whole community, and like land here, she only had her older brother here at the time, and to build what she built from scratch is wild, right? So like that's part of what I inherited too. That's an intergenerational gift that I can honor and appreciate and enjoy. And I'm lucky to do
I'm
so.
thinking of a client who had a mother who was addicted to pills, all kinds of different pills,
Mhm.
and drank too much and all of that. So he just saw that and made a conscious decision when he was in high school. I'm not going to do that. And in
Yeah.
college, I'm not going to hang out with the kids who are partiers. And
Yeah.
he's one of the most successful men I've ever had the opportunity to work with. And he doesn't come from a place of victimhood because he grew
Mm.
up in a family where his mother was basically absent because she was never there, right?
Right.
When we have people in our lives who are at the effect of addiction, it's like we never really get to fully be with them because there's always something in the way. And that's the way he described it. So
Right.
he chose to go the other direction and he didn't chose to wallow in it and complain about he's never going to be full and whole because his mother was this way. He had resiliency and he had a positive attitude, and that's what happens.
Right. So in a way, she blessed him because he went the opposite direction.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
victimhood is not sexy, is it?
It's not for anyone. And if it
Yeah.
is to them, you probably don't want to be with them.
Yeah,
Right.
victimhood is definitely not sexy. So I love your
Yeah.
perspectives. Tell people who are listening how they can work with you. You have group events, or do you have just one-on-one? Do you have, how do they find you?
Yeah. How to find me? The best way to find me is at my private practice website. So that's Satya, Satya. It stands for truthfulness and yogic philosophy. So Satya Counseling and Yoga.com. So that's the best way to see kind of what I offer, what's currently available, scheduling a consultation with me. And you can even just go there just to look at the blog. I write a lot of blogs that are relevant for the clients that I see or people who seek me out. So you can certainly go there and get some wisdom there. I also have a course, a 6-week course available at lindasanderville.com for those who aren't in my licensed areas. I'm licensed in 9 states. But if you're not in one of those areas, you can access the course, and it has a lot of the core concepts that I go over with clients. And it includes some hypnotherapy recordings because I am a hypnotherapist as well, and some restorative yoga videos that are meant to help with that emotional regulation and recovery from burnout as well. So those are the best places to find me.
We're similar. You and I both really like to offer service at all different levels so that if they have the resources and are
Hmm.
can invest those resources to work one-on-one with you, that's available, but also your blog and you've got
Uh-huh.
your hypnotherapy, you've got all this on your
Right.
website, which is beautiful.
Yes.
So Satya, Satya means again truth.
Truthfulness. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. So it comes after ahimsa, which is nonviolence in yoga. That's the first principle, like the main thing, right? Nonviolence. So it's not meant to be truthfulness that is violent or truthfulness that is like aggressive or to take someone down, right? But it's really a way of being, being real, being transparent with ourselves first,
Mhm, mhm.
not being in deceit, right? And that's important for so many things, but certainly the work that I do with my clients, there's no point in working with me if you would like to stay deceiving yourself and others. Don't work with me then. Right? Like, so find somebody else. But if you're willing to be honest and to take ownership of what is yours to own, and then take back your power, because what we own, then we have power over it, right? We can do something with that. If someone else owns it, I can't, then I'm powerless. But if I can take ownership of it, then I can do something about it. So that's really the work that I do. And that's why I named my practice after that particular part of yogic philosophy.
And I so relate to this. I called my company Cupid's Coach because um, half of the work of the Cupid, which is, to create connections and all of that, half of that is related to truth, finding truth within ourselves, knowing what matters, being clear. And
Yeah.
coaching is so helpful because we might be able to see a blind spot that they haven't
Yeah.
yet seen.
Right.
So I really love it. You also said that inner conflicts shed light on our core beliefs, and
Hmm.
anything that needs to be changed can be. So
Yeah.
inner conflicts,
Hmm.
they can change, right? If we can
Yes.
focus on what our core beliefs are and take a really good look at them. Well, gosh,
Right.
if this is my core belief, why am I doing so much of that?
Yes. Right.
Mm,
Or this is my core belief, but it's not even true. Oh, I need to replace it with something new.
yeah, my core belief is I need to be with a hot guy.
Right.
Really?
Right. So,
Really? So what I love to do in my consultations is if I had the chance to work with this lady today, I would
yeah.
show her on the screen all these really, really hot guys, and she would tell me how excited she is to meet them. And then I would tell her about each one of them. And is that really the guy that you want to be with? And it's
Yeah.
sometimes the only way that I can get people to realize that we're just conditioned.
Yes.
Why do we need to be with a hot guy? Why are we hung up on the tall guy? Why does he
Uh-huh.
have to have hair? Why is it that you can't date anybody with a beard? We have razors, and sometimes guys will actually use them. I mean, it's just silly
Oh,
stuff, but it's protective because if we make them all wrong, we don't have to put ourselves at risk, do we?
right. Yeah.
Hmm.
Our ultimate fear is being vulnerable, then we get to avoid that.
Right. Well, you are fascinating, Linda. Thank you for taking the time to do this
Yeah.
with us today.
Pleasure. You're such a great interviewer. Thank you for giving me your time.
Absolutely. I love it. And ladies and gentlemen, if you're inspired, go look up Linda, satyacounselingandyoga.com, right? Yep.
Yes.
Very good. Satya.
Yeah.
And you guys, you get out there, take this stuff to heart to transform me to we for yourself. Thanks for listening.